Hey guys, it's Maymay and it's time for our scripture art journaling this week. And this week's scripture comes from Galatians 6:7, and it says, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." And when I saw that scripture, I thought about gardening, but I don't have anything that is gardening related. But I found this piece of paper where there were items growing from it, and I thought this would be cool. Now this looks a little jumbly. Let me show you why. This is a piece from the paper pad. This is the paper pad right here. It's called Habitat by Recollections. I got it at Michael's. And this is a piece that I fussy cut out of one of the pages, and it did take a few minutes, and I did a lot of fussy cutting before I started this video because I just had a little bit of time on my hands, and I thought this would be a neat way to kind of think on this scripture and just kind of, it's almost meditative to, is that a word? To sit and just cut. You see all these pieces that I cut? And I also cut every single one of the mushrooms that are going to be on the page. And I have a plan for it. I didn't do it just for the heck of it. I'm going to show you what my plan is. I'm going to move all these pretty little pieces to the side. And I'm going to move the paper pad now that I've shown you that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece to fit in my journal. Ooh, almost lost a tiny baby mushroom. Okay, and my journal is 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to cut this down to, I've been cutting it just a little shy of that so I can get a good fold on the page. So I'm cutting it to 8.25 instead of 8.5 wide. That way it lays better. There's that, and then 11 is fine. The height has been good with that. Now, I love to use paper. I just love to let the paper do the work. I just do. But I'm going to try something a little bit different on this one and see if this works. I've got a Market marker in Tiki. No, what is this one in? In Honey Brown. And then I've got my Copic colorless blender that I'm going to play with a little bit. And this is going to be what holds our scripture. Now, I was going to turn it this way and hold it like the whole section of the page. But there's text in it and it runs this way, so we're going to run it this way. And then all of these little pieces, these butterflies and things, are going to find their way around it. I may even raise this up so I have more room for butterflies. But this is going to hold our scripture. So I'm going to go ahead and write my scripture in before, I got to find my pen, before we get too far into this. All right, and so the scripture says, "Do not be deceived." I have to check spelling to make sure I always mess these words up. Do not be deceived. Is there a comma after that? Nope, it's a colon. And then God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. And this is from, I'm going to write it down here, Galations 6:7. Now this is the NIV version here, okay? So yours may be a little bit different. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this down here at the top. And I'm not adding any dimension to anything like foam tape or anything. If I was doing this on a scrapbook journal, a scrapbook page, or if I was doing this on a canvas, I would definitely be adding a lot of dimension. But I'm going to show you a way to get the look and feel of dimension. We've used it before without having to actually pop anything up, because you know in our journals sometimes that doesn't work really well. And I'm going to make sure all these leaves are down good. Okay, now down here I cut the mushrooms out to go right on top of these. So like this one, for example, goes on top of this one. And then this one goes here. And then here. Now, if I was doing dimension, this would be super cool to do this because you could put some foam tape behind it and see the other image behind it. Since I'm not going to do it that way, I'm just going to glue these straight down, which will add some dimension for us. And then we're going to do one more thing. Where does this one go? Right here. So I'm going to glue these straight down onto these guys just as they are. I promise there's a method for this. The idea is this is going to give me a piece to trace around with my dark marker. And then I'm going to take my Copic and kind of blend it out. But if I didn't have it, I would just kind of be tracing a flat image. And this really will make it more, really give me a better place to kind of plant that marker. I hope that makes sense. Maybe when we start drawing on it, it will. This took a while to do the fussy cutting, but it was really enjoyable. I don't know how you feel about little scissors and fussy cutting, and maybe if you like to decoupage, this is a very good one for that. Let's leave this last one in place. Okay. So there is that. So like I said, it really doesn't look any different at this point. It really just looks like the same thing. But if you feel it, you can feel it. You can feel the difference. And when we get through coloring, you'll be able to feel the difference. Now I want to decide where I want these pretty little pieces that I cut to go. I think they are gorgeous. There was dragonflies. There was butterflies of all kinds. And I just think that they are stunning. And I like them just like that. I'm going to glue those in place. This scripture is really, it really speaks to me because I do believe we reap what we sow. And I believe that, I believe that people who aren't even believers think we reap what we sow. I think that people talk about karma. I don't believe in karma, but people talk about it. And, even that is basically, you know, reaping what you sow, and that the universe per se will get you back. Like I said, I don't believe in, I don't put my faith in the universe or in karma. I just, I believe in the Lord, and I believe that He has a plan for us. But I do believe that we reap what we sow. You know, we get back what we put out there. And I think that works whether you're a believer or not. I mean, the golden rule applies to everybody, even though not everybody believes in it. Okay. Now here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to start with this piece here. This is my marker that I told you that I was going to be using, and I'm going to trace around this just in sections to start with, because I want it to be wet so that I can blend it out. So I don't want to give it time to dry, and I want to make sure I get the brush tip of this guy. Here we go. And I'm going to come back in and see if I can get this to kind of bleed out and not be a perfect line. Just to kind of blend into the page. You can do like this. You can use both. You can put both of the markers in your hands. I'll come in and do it again. And just kind of get it to smear a little. Just not to be such a perfect mark. Isn't that looking pretty? I think it is. Let me bring you guys in closer. So that gets the butterflies done, and that gets that piece done. And now I'm going to come down here to the mushrooms where we stacked them up on top of each other. And this is going to give me that dimension I was talking about, you know, give me something to kind of rub the marker against. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And then I'm going to go in with that colorless blender and do the same thing. And it's really only going to work so well where the paper is, because some of this is shiny, but that'll still be neat and it'll still add dimension down there. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. I love it. I love how these turned out. I hate that, I don't think in the camera it does them much justice. You know, I don't think the camera does much good for them. But I really love all the shadow and the dimension I feel like I get from it. And that is it for week 16. This will go into the journal. And then next week we will start on week 17. Can you believe it? Already week 17. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I will see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.